Adjectives are awesome for adding color to our language. But how do you really show that one thing is, say, better or faster or stronger than another? Well, that's where we need some more powerful tools. And today, we're going to unlock two of the most useful ones in English, comparatives and superlatives. So let's dive in. Think about it. Anytime you're telling a story, how do you make it really pop? How do you show that something is changing or that one choice is the absolute best one? That's exactly what comparatives and superlatives are for. See, they don't just describe a thing, they put it in context by, stacking it up against something else. Okay, check this out. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. The tree was big. Fine, it's a fact. But the tree was growing bigger every day. Now that tells a story, right? You can almost feel the progress, that change happening over time. That one little word completely changes the picture. And that's the kind of power we're going to tap into. All right, let's get into our first section, the two tools of comparison, and really understanding their unique jobs. In our grammar toolkit, we've got the comparative and the superlative. I know they sound pretty similar, but trust me, they have very different, very specific roles to play. Let's break them down. Okay, first up, the comparative. Its job, super simple. It compares exactly two things. Not one, not three, just two. Think of it like a head-to-head competition. Is this car faster than that car? Is this book more interesting than that other one? It's always a direct one-on-one comparison. And then you've got the superlative. This is the tool you pull out for groups of three or more. The superlative's whole job is to find the extreme, the one at the very top or the one at the very bottom. It's not just faster than something else. No, it is the fastest. It's like the undisputed champ of the whole group. This right here, this is basically the cheat sheet. For comparatives, you're on the lookout for two things, that ER ending and the word than. For superlatives, your big clues are the word the right at the start and the EST ending. Seriously, if you remember these little signposts, you'll get it right pretty much every time. Okay, let's see this in action. She is shorter than Lisa. See, we've got two people, she and Lisa. We have the ER on shorter, and there's our keyword than. That is a classic comparative sentence. All right, now let's flip it to the superlative. She is the shortest in the class. Now, we're not just comparing her to one person. We're comparing her to the entire group. And notice the clues. We kick it off with the, and the word than is nowhere to be found. We've singled her out as the absolute extreme. Okay, so we get what they are, but how do we actually make them? Let's get into the basic building blocks, starting with the and est rules for short adjectives. For short one-syllable adjectives, the rule is thankfully super simple. To compare two things, you just stick on the end. To compare three or more, you add est. That's really it. This is the foundation for everything else. And you can totally see the pattern here, right? Large, larger, largest. Old, older, oldest. Fast, faster, fastest. It's just a really clean and simple system. And chances are you're probably already using this without even thinking about it. All right, here's our first little spelling trap, so listen up because this one catches a lot of people. If your short adjective has that consonant vowel consonant pattern at the end, you have to double the final consonant before you add your ending. So take the word big, perfect example of the CVC rule. B is a consonant, I is a vowel, G is a consonant. So we have to double that G to get bigger and biggest. Same deal for sad and fat. And a little fun fact for you, the reason we actually do this is to keep that short vowel sound. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, next spelling rule. This one's all about words that end in Y. The rule here is easy. Just switch that Y to an I before you add or est. So, for instance, happy becomes happier and happiest. The Y is gone and an I takes its place. Same thing for hungry. It turns into hungrier and hungriest. It's a really consistent rule for these kinds of words. All right, let's move on to using more and most for those longer words. I mean, what happens when adjectives get longer? Interestinger just sounds wrong, doesn't it? That's because for longer words, tacking on and est just doesn't work. We need a completely different strategy. And here it is. Here's that new strategy. Basically, instead of messing with the adjective itself, you just pop a word in front of it. For comparatives, you add more or less. For superlatives, it's most or least. The adjective itself gets to stay exactly the same. Easy! So, thoughtful doesn't become thoughtfuler, because that's a total mouthful. Instead, it's more thoughtful and most thoughtful. Same thing for words like pleasant and interesting. This is pretty much your go-to pattern for almost all the longer adjectives you'll run into. Let's see this in a real sentence, okay? We have the most thoughtful neighbors in this neighborhood. When we compare our neighbors to everyone else in the neighborhood, that's a big group. So we need the superlative, the most thoughtful. You can just hear how much better that flows, can't you? And now, for the irregular rule breakers, the exceptions you just have to memorize. English. Just when you think you've got the rules all figured out, it throws you a curveball. There are a few really common words that just, well, they play by their own rules. And for these guys, yeah, there's no trick, you just gotta memorize them. And here they are. The main culprits. We don't say gooder, we say better. We definitely don't say badder, we say worse. These words change completely. Seriously, this slide right here, this is one you might want to screenshot or jot down because these are absolutely essential. And just to keep us on our toes, there are some adjectives that are flexible. For words like friendly, simple, or clever, you actually get a choice. You can say friendlier or more friendly. Both are totally correct. It really just comes down to personal preference and which one sounds a little better in your sentence. All right, let's bring it all together in our final section, putting it into practice. Because now you have the tools. Think about where we started, right? With a simple phrase like, the tree was big. But now you've got a whole set of tools to make your comparisons sharper, way more detailed, and just more powerful. You know what they are, and you know how to use them. At the end of the day, grammar isn't really about memorizing a bunch of rules. It's about making an impact with your words. So the big question is, what are you going to do with all this? How will you use these tools to make your language not just good, but better? How will you make your next story not just interesting, but the most interesting one you've ever told? The power is all yours.